Ready?
Yes, ma'am. On 7th July 2005, while I was working in London, I was heading towards work, and I would take a bus to work. And what had happened that day was the breakfast was prepared a little late for me, for His Highness. So what happened was I got to the bus stop. A lot of people were on the street, way too many than usual day. The bus was there, the bus stop, they were at the bus stop, but the bus didn't have the rooftop. It had blown away. There had been a series of bomb blasts across London. I think 5 or 6 on metro tube stations or tubes, and 1 or 2 on the buses. And my bus that I was supposed to take had blown up. Had the breakfast not been late, I would have been dead 2 decades ago, right? So it could have very well been end of everything. Now, why I was reminded of this was a few days back, we had actually gone to Red Fort for a light and sound show. And exactly the place where we had walked, where we had parked our car, there was this bomb blast again in Delhi, right around there, and people died and stuff like that. Now, so what is very important is we don't know when it's going to end, but it's inevitable. But can we start adding more meaning to our lives rather than just chasing other people's dreams and chasing things that don't really matter? Can we do better in that relationships that we are in? Can we just be more thankful, better people? Can we do justice to ourselves? Can we move a little bit more, little less pain? So that's the important part. We all forget that. So it's very, very important. Dig in a little deeper. What does it mean to you? We need to be doing that. And again, this podcast, Miles of Meaning, will try to tell you stories of people from across all walks of life and bring you those stories and the meanings that they've added to their lives and the miles of meaning in the lives that they've added. So I've been running for a marathon distance. What I mean by that is I've been running for 42 years, and a full marathon is 42.195 kilometers. So why that is important is because by the time I got to the medical college, I had a head start versus my colleagues, my batchmates of 9 to 10 years. So I already knew the body, the mind, and how do you deal with pain. Not necessarily being a very good student, but by practice. Because when I had to run those races, you have to run at your best, you keep just going for it. I knew that more than my colleagues. And that kind of adds a lot of value, when I talk about pain, when I talk about running, when I talk about meaning of life and all that. I was already at it for a while. Now, running has been my best friend, all right? So it's been my first love because it's just stood by me. It's just been there without judging me, whether I run very slow, very fast, long, whether I run, whether I don't run for a year, 6 months, 2 months, whether I have an injury, don't have an injury, whether I run with other people, run on my own. Running has just been there. And that is very, very important. My meaning, my relationship with running is very, very different, very, very personal. And no one else's running has to mean what my running means to me. So that's a very, very important relationship that I have with my running. So I'm a runner first, than anything else. So I like to call myself a student of pain and running because running causes pain. And when you are comfortable with pain, you can run faster, you can run longer, you can be in your zone, if it were. So yeah, I'm a student of pain and running and for life. It's made me understand how to be at sync, your body, mind, the cosmos, if it were, how to kind of connect all those dots together. Then I started picking up what really changed for me was, I think it was year 2003 or 4, I was in London, and that was my first job in London. I was heading Kaiser training, medical strengthening therapy. So I learned more at work how to use strength training, lifting weights, machines, and how to take care of your back pains using strength. Goes back as that. So as much as I'm as lean as I am, but strength has really added a lot more value to how I look at running and life and all that. So strength training, major important part in my life. I've been at practicing sports medicine, pain management, conservative pain management for knees and backs for last 25 years. Now, what is important with this is, as much as in sports medicine and again, people who manage pain or other doctors, what we tend to fall for is we think it's actually only about the body, and we forget there's a mind. And my psychologists and psychiatrist friends are on the other edge or other end. They think about the mind, the brain, and nothing else. So I think there's a very important need for combining things. So I've been at it for 2.5 decades, and very early on, I was introduced to the power of the mind in how the body behaves, whether for performance. I've been at it as a runner for 42 years, so I was already learning, with experience, without even yet being at a college. But after that, I was just introduced to a lot of things where it showed me actually how powerful the mind is, whether it's for pain, for running, for sports, how to combine things together, how the society matters, how, we should be beyond just performance. It's about where is the meaning. So that's what has been very, very helpful for me. And again, the fun part is when patients come, each patient has something to teach me. It's wonderful. It could be one sentence, it could be one lesson, it could be one experience of theirs they share. But each patient, each client who comes along, runner, they could be a lot less experienced than me, could be younger, could be older, but they always have something to teach. And that's what has added that whole thing about why me, talking about meaning, miles of meaning in life. About 2 decades ago, it was in 2006, is when I'd actually moved back from London to Manipal, Bangalore hospital. So I was heading the sports medicine department for them. After Manipal for a couple of years, started my own thing called Back to Fitness. And about a decade ago, I was principal consultant for Adidas India for running, and how to kind of look at running so it's promoted better. It wasn't to sell Adidas, but it was to promote running. So that was the idea. And at the same time, I was director for sports at Ashoka University. Now, why I talk about all of this is different roles altogether. So while I was helping students to pick up running, sports, athletics, all that stuff, and become healthier, fitter, not necessarily to win medals, but more for, sanity and meaning of life and all that stuff. But there, at the same time, I was actually with Adidas, how to promote running and take it at a mass level. But before that, I did sports medicine, creating that. And again, Back to Fitness carrying on throughout. And around the same time, a few years before that, La Ultra had started, right? So that's what different roles that I've done. Now, currently, I'm actually visiting faculty at National Police Academy, Hyderabad, where IPS officers, or when UPSC exam is cleared, and the guys who get into IPS go there to train to become officers. So I play a role in how to modify the training, how to optimize it so they don't get hurt. And then again, after that mid-career training program for officers who are already serving, IPS officers, they would come there, and I would have some inputs about how do you become healthier, how do you become fitter. So that role I play. And then I am a consultant to an NGO called Swatalim, Kasturba Balika Vidyalaya schools they collaborate with. And what we do there is empower the girls through running, how to again empower them for life, to dream bigger, to not be put down by anyone. You can stand on your 2 feet, and you are confident about life, and you dream big. That's the whole idea. So Lal to the High, the whole idea was actually, it came about in 2009. I was running from Manali to Rohtang Pass, and then the whole bit was, hey, listen, let's do it in the dark, right? Initially, the idea was do it ourselves, but then we were like, why don't we actually share it with others? And I think that's very, very important. From your own run, saying, listen, let's open it up to the world. When we started sharing this idea with business friends, with doctor friends who were in sports medicine or not, with locals, with experts, with army people, stuff like that, I was told it's impossible, it can't be done, civilians can't do it, you'll kill someone, you'll go bankrupt, all negatives, that it simply can't be done for whatever reason. In any case, I had 222 kilometers, I had 3 participants for the first edition. Elite runners were signing up. After a couple of years, figured out that 222 kilometers were now suddenly happening, and suddenly the formula was realized and picked up by elite runners. And so I ended up doing 333 kilometer run, or the category. So 222 and 333, because I'm probably a sadist. I didn't want people to finish, maybe, to call it the toughest run in the world and all that. And people started coming for that as well. But the problem was, it had ended up becoming a race organized by Indians, but for foreigners, and I wasn't up for that. And what I did, probably the defining moment more than the 333, was actually reducing the distance category to 111. Sometimes you need to lower the bar for people, for helping them to go higher, soar higher in life, rather than raising the bar, and that's a problem that we do. So the first step probably needs to be lower rather than actually higher. So 111 was a very important part for us. What happened was Indians started taking part. So they came for 111, they came for 222, and they were qualifying, and for even 333. Army, Navy, Air Force, civilians, Indian, they were sending people coming and who were finishing it. And soon enough, Indians were finishing 222 and 333. And for the 10th edition, we had a 555-kilometer category. And Indians, one of them at least, got to the finish line of 555 kilometers up in Ladakh, 5 passes to cover. All right, so insane. What I'm really trying to say is nothing is impossible. So this word impossible yells, it is possible. We learned that layers peel off at La Ultra. And that's a very, very important part, that you kind of become in touch with yourself. So, and you learn you're not immortal. You learn that you shall pass. So I think those are very, very important things, and that's what La Ultra did for us. So La Ultra also said, or taught me that it's not miles that define you. What happens is what we discover within these miles that are very, very important. Okay, so that's where the layers peeling off is a very, very important part. When you're not able to carry on, when you fail, is where the meaning is added to life, to running. Every end of life study that's ever been done, what it does is when someone is on their deathbed, they do not regret the money they made, what car they bought, what house they bought. It's about experiences, it's about relations, it's about happiness. And that's one lesson I've learned in life. Be you, identify, figure out who you are. Don't let the society tell you that. Figure out for yourself. It's a struggle. It's a very difficult question for most people. Most people hate looking in the mirror beyond what at surface it talks about. Who are you? All those layers that are there, let them peel off. Then be your best. Don't become better than or as good as you were 17 years ago. Just become better by a percentage from what you were yesterday. All right? And then the last bit is of the sentence, be your best friend. So before trying to become like someone's better husband, wife, son, daughter, father, mother, grandson, grandfather, whatever, right? Or friend, are you your own best friend? There's nothing selfish about it. Once you become your best friend, it's game on. All right? So work with that. Become your best friend. And that's what I'm trying to say. That is the meaning that I'm trying to talk about through the stories that the guests will be talking about on this podcast. So there's pain from different perspectives that I'm looking at it. Now, a lot of people think of pain as an enemy, right? So they think, oh my God, I don't want pain. Whereas pain is a messenger. Pain is not a disease. Pain is just saying, hey, something's happening. Pain's a messenger, as I said. So we need to become more aware of listening to pain, understanding what is going on with the body, all right, with your mind. Body-mind connect that is there. So pain is a very, very important part, all right? And once you start connecting with it and you're starting to understand the meaning, and as I said earlier, when that discomfort is there during the runs, pain is almost definite in life. It is about the suffering. So maybe you can't change pain, but your choice is, do you want to suffer with that pain? Do you want it to be so dominant on you? So I think that's very, very important. And again, once we start understanding that, it's game on. And once your pain threshold changes, that same pain will not hurt you as much. And that's, again, it's so much of a mind game that's actually on. So all of us have pain, learn to get on with it. And that's going to make life so much more comfortable. So the main thing really I'm trying to say is miles don't define us. The inner meaning does. So we are both very special, but we're not. And again, there's a very interesting quote by Gandhi, which talks about anything that you do in life is insignificant, but it is the most important thing to do. Same for you. You are very, very average, but you are very unique. So through those stories, it comes out, all those meanings come out, and that's what we're trying to do with this podcast. Welcome to my podcast, Miles of Meaning. I'm Dr. Rajat Chauhan, and together we'll get on this journey where we'll figure out the meaning of all the miles that are there. So not only limited to numbers only, which we try to do, which are pretty useless. We'll try to discover ourselves. We'll try to peel off all those layers, and through the stories, understand how special we are. So let's be on this journey together. And for now, keep smiling and smiling. Over and out.